Hi everyone, it's Sam, back with another Bullet Journal Weekly. This time it's this beautiful winter robin spread. The spread is inspired by this little friend of mine who usually sits with me in the garden when I'm sketching. He's very territorial and inquisitive and very cheeky, with a nice full belly as you can see, so he's incredibly inspirational to me. I try to incorporate as many of his characteristics as I can in this little spread. So I hope you enjoy it. I will share how I draw him, paint him, and then do finishing touches with the pen. So let's get started. So I'm using my 2H pencil because it's easy to erase, which is a great help when you need to do lots of rubbing out. I draw a lot of birds and I tend to base them on simple shapes, such as this oval and circle that are overlapping, or a large rounded triangle where it's smaller at the top and wider at the base. The style is going to be a very sort of illustrative, almost doodle type style, so I'm not going in for real details, just get the main shape of the body, a hint of the wing and the tail, and two little circles for the eyes on either side of the head and the beak. The legs tend to be long and spindly, and I'm drawing him sitting on the garden post, the fence post, so I'll be drawing in the wood grain, and then because it was snowing at the time, I will be putting that in as well. And this is a touch of whimsy where I'm adding on a Christmas hat. I would advise using lots of photo references and practice, practice, practice. Now it's time to paint. I already had a peachy colour in my palette made from orange, magenta and white, so it's like a dark pastel. And I often use blue paint and brown as a mix to create a form of grey. This time I add more brown, so it's a browny grey. If you remember our robin, he has a lot of grey surrounding his orangey red chest. So I start with this browny grey mix and a square brush. It's a very small brush though. I've deliberately chosen to paint in mid-tone, which means not too bright and not too dark. So I'm using this browny grey for my brown, and then that dark pastel-y peach colour which has a touch of red in it. When I want to brighten it, you'll see how I do that with subsequent layers. I'm just adding a touch of that peachy red colour for his Christmas hat. I chose the same brown colour, I just added a little bit more brown for the fence post. I like to paint the backgrounds of my pages, and this one I chose to do like a snow scene, so I added a lot more white and a touch of blue to the colours that are already in my palette. You'll see that that'll create a nice warm grey. I highly recommend looking at the video that's linked above, where I do a detailed swatch of this gouache set and go into how I create neutral colours from the bright colours that are in the set. I hope you'll find it really useful, especially in terms of colour theory and how to use it to create those tertiary colours. I love using tertiary colours in my bullet journal, and this particular brand of bullet journal copes with paint very well. Once dry, it's time for pens. I use this brush pen set and choose a reddy orange colour for the bright chest of the robin. The great thing about brush pens is that you can add water via a brush and try to blend it in with the paint underneath. I don't blend it completely because I want the base of the chest to be more saturated with colour. Here I'm using my fine liner black Staedtler pens to do the outlining and doodling of the robin on top of the painted surface. This is where he really starts to come to life, and I really adore his little Christmas hat. So I'm using the pen here just to suggest feathery texture with a broken line, but I don't go into too much detail as I've mentioned. So for the wood grain, really it's wavy lines with a couple of dots for the knots in the wood. Doodling little characters like this is the perfect way to just enhance your bullet journal page where you need to write a lot. It was my late mother's birthday month, and I found this little robin really cheered me up whenever I saw him in my book. I hope you love how he's coming along. We're not finished with him yet though. So there's the subscription bell, prompting you to consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I do plan to continue to add weekly bullet journal content. So here you can see me adding a touch of magenta to that grey mix. I'm going to use this to create a pink grey ombre effect along the bottom of the page. It just sets the robin off beautifully. Now the paint is dry, we can use the white gel pen to create all the snow effects. So I do a lot of sort of scribbling to suggest snow settled on top of the fence post. I think in hindsight I would have probably added some water to that to blend those scribbles a little bit more, but I was in a bit of a rush that day. But it is something you can do. And then just some dots and dashes and crosses to suggest the actual snowflakes. I'm just doing the finishing touches with my Staedtler pen now, popping in the days of the week and finishing my robin. And here I'm adding just a few cute spirals to complete that look of whimsy that I wanted around my robin. And there you have the finished spread. I really hope you enjoyed this little bite-sized bullet journal weekly, and I look forward to seeing you next week when it's the big May monthly setup, which is sure to feature some beautiful artwork. See you next time.